failure to comply with the procedural requirements under the law, the special prosecutor must return the properties to the affected person, in this case, the power. But that doesn't mean that the offense has not been committed or the investigations has been translated. The special prosecutor can rearrest if it's a person who has committed an offense and due to lack of procedural compliance or irregularities in the arrest proceedings, when the court directs that person be freed, that person will be freed consistent or in compliance with the order of the court. But that doesn't prevent the arresting officer from arresting the person again for the same offense. Now, it's the same with seized property. I mean, if property is being seized in compliance with law, there's a duty imposed on the seizing officer to comply with the requirements of the law. So if there are procedural breaches, the law court can order, and in the case of the court ordered that the seized property be returned to the owner. And after the return of the seized property to the owner, nothing prevents the seizing officer or the authorized officer from the special prosecutor's office or the special prosecutor himself from initiating fresh action to seize the property because of the underlying criminality involved in the acquisition of the property. And that is what the special prosecutor has done.
So to you, he hasn't, because there are those who have suggested that he's acted contemptuously.
No, it's not, there's no contempt here. There's no contempt. There's no contempt. I mean, you are not suggesting that, or those who argue that we are not suggesting that. The fact that the court has said that the property be returned cleans the property of any criminality that attaches to the property. That would be absurd. I mean, and so the property itself is the subject matter of investigations under the corruption and corruption-related offences and provided for in the Special Prosecutors Act. And the fact that the investigations is still continuing does not prevent or bar the special prosecutor in the face of the court ruling from rearresting or re-seizing of property.
And is acting within his law, because you had issues with the way he handled it the first time, especially going to court.
I had issues with the procedural non-compliance. I mean, the court, the law provides, and Section 38 provides that when he seizes property or when his authorized officer seizes property, he has 7 days within which to go to court to confirm the seizure. And he had waited too long to go to court, and the court said, no, you don't have the power to wait too long to go to court. The time begins to run on the day of the seizure, and that is why he provided the time here, 5th September 2023. And so he has 7 days within this time to go to court to confirm the seizure.
And this time, I guess you're hoping that he does that within the 7 days.
I just hope that he does that. I think that he should do that because he's not a law to himself. He himself has indicated in the release that he's acting within the confines of Act 959, which establishes his office, and that act gives him, establishes some procedural requirements that have to be complied with, and so he must comply with those requirements.
Well, that's on that leg, but there's one other issue I wanted to take your view on. This one has to do with, and please, this is the president speaking on an international platform.
Placed a ban on illegal mining, the phenomenon we call galamsey, which was destroying our water bodies, vegetation, and our forests. Some 20,000 young people have been engaged to plant more than 30 million trees in 2 years to create jobs and restore degraded land. These policy initiatives are already using positive results to the attainment of the SDG goals, particularly the goal of reducing our carbon emissions. Additionally, I've established an advisory group of prominent private sector chief executives who are setting up a $100 million SDGs delivery fund the $200 million Green Fund to complement government's efforts at tackling climate change and funding the implementation of the SDGs. Whilst we strive to do our bit.
Well, I guess, ALHAJI, you got the point he was trying to make, that the efforts that they've been making in terms of tackling galamsey are yielding results. What do you think?
Well, I can only speak in Kenya that way. He can't speak to us in Ghana that way, the way he spoke in Kenya. I mean, that is delusional. I mean, everybody knows that the fight against illegal small-scale mining is a fiasco. It was dead on arrival. The president knows that the water bodies, the turbidity levels in the water bodies have increased astronomically. That the PRC has found it necessary to impose additional charges on consumers of water to enable the Ghana Water Company to claim or treat the water. The Ghana Water Company itself is saying that it requires more chemicals to treat the water that has been destroyed by the illegal small-scale mining activities. So the president is talking about his new reality. And the new reality is not the reality that we know. I mean, we know that our lands have been destroyed, our farming lands degraded, our water bodies contaminated and polluted. The climate change fight is not yielding results. The trees that have been planted are not being accounted for. And so I mean, there is a vast disconnect between what the president is saying and what we are experiencing in Ghana.
And you say he can only say this on an international platform.
Yeah, he's thinking that people do not know much about Ghana. I mean, but that's why I'm saying he's delusional, because we are in a global village and everybody knows what is happening.
Delusional?
Yes. I mean, you are talking about a new reality that doesn't really exist or exists in your own imagination. Then you are becoming delusional, not so.
Well, before I let you go, ALHAJI, how well do you know Alan Kojo Kyeremanteng?
Well, so I know him to the extent that I went to Parliament in 2006 by election when Professor FUSEINI crossed over to the Npp after having won the TAMALE Central seat. When I entered Parliament, Alan Kojo Kyeremanteng was the Minister of Trade, Industries and Special Government Initiatives. That was how I think that's how the ministry was called then. Presidential Special Initiatives or something like that, PSI.
Yes, Presidential Special Initiative.
Yeah. Good. So when I entered Parliament, the whips of Parliament put me on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, the Trade, Industries and Special Initiatives, Presidential Special Initiatives Committee, and the Judiciary Committee. And being a member of that committee, I worked with the committee exercise supervisory jurisdiction over the portfolio that he handled. And so I came into close contact with him. In fact, and I should say that he also knows me very well, because I was an active and participating member of the committee all the years I served. And I left Parliament as the longest serving member on the Trade Committee of Parliament. And so I was in the committee and exercised supervisory jurisdiction over his ministry under President Kufuor, and I continued under President Akufo-Addo.
Well, I guess you've been paying attention to his attempt to, at least for once, in the absence of Akufo-Addo, become the flag bearer of the new patriotic party. Yesterday, he's indicated that he's no longer going to continue that pursuit. He's pulling out from the race for the flag bearership of the NPP because he doesn't see a fair playing ground. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if the enough political space is not provided for persons who are interested in contesting positions within a party, it will be foolhardy not so to continue to participate in the process when you know that the process hasn't skewed in in favor of a particular candidate, your chances of emerging have been dwindled to the extent that they are virtually non-existent. And unless you want to give credibility to the situation or the process, you don't participate in it. And that is what he has done. He's signifying his discontent, displeasure, and disgust of the way that the situation or the process has been handled so far. And he's been muzzled out by the fact that there has been massive rigging of the process in favor of a particular candidate. And so I think that is well understood.
So you do agree with his stance that there's no political space for him?
Well, unless you have so much money that you are willing to draw about, knowing that you are not going to make any impact, the best decision is to walk away from the process and not give it the legitimacy that is required. Because if you participate in the process, you'll be giving it some level of legitimacy. And everybody knows that his agents were beaten in the Northeast region. Everybody knows that the establishment had whipped people into line to support a particular candidate. Everybody knows that the present composition of the leadership of the party, of the Npp party, is not favorably predisposed to Alan Kyeremanteng, and that is why at the headquarters where most of the party functionaries voted, he failed to register any appreciable votes. And so you are not able to tell how the influence of the actors of the party will finally permeate the grounds and influence the over 200,000 delegates who will be voting. And it's always important in going into elections to have a fair assessment of your chances of emerging or your performance. The situation is so dark and cloudy, murky, that Alan Kyeremanteng thinks that it's better for him to stay off and not give it legitimacy, not approve of the rigging machine that has been put in place to ensure that a particular candidate, in this case, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, emerges. And I think that I share in his concern.
But there are those who think that that's a demonstration of cowardice, that he should have stayed in and fight.
Well, fighting doesn't always mean that you have to stay in and fight. What he has done has thrown more light on what is happening in the Npp, and particularly in the processes leading up to the election of the Flagbearer. And that is a good fight. I mean, it's not cowardice to say that, well, I think that these processes are so contaminated that I will not lend credibility to it. It's not cowardice, is it? You will be a coward, a fool, a political novice, if you know that the processes are such that you are not going to make any impact. I mean, the real manifestations of the people's will in electing a flag bearer will not or have been so bastardized that they won't produce outcomes that you will feel satisfactory to you. Why will you continue in that process?
Then I guess for you watching within the NDC, you must be worried, because I recall how famously you were unhappy about the outcome of 2020 and the things that had led to that. That is being replicated within the NDC, like your brother who also has the same surname as you. ABF FUSEINI says that if they can find feathers to pluck from a tortoise, you, the chicken, should at least be taking heed.
Yeah. Well, so it's a matter of concern for our democratic experiment. We parties, by our constitution, are enjoined to conduct their activities along democratic lines and principles. If a party is acting in a way that suggests that they are not being democratic, it should be a matter of worry for our democracy, because parties are the vehicles through which we practice our democracy. And so, yes, it's but I have a feeling that 2024 will be unlike 2020. That the generality of the Ghanaian population are so disappointed that they will rise up and fight. That the fight will not only be a fight for NDC, it's a fight for redemption. It's like a fight to free ourselves from the yoke of mismanagement under the recklessness, waste, corruption, thievery, piffery under the NPP. And so it's a fight for Ghanaians. And since Ghanaians are going to vote and police the polling stations, it might be difficult for them to implement the scheme that they implemented in 2020. That being said, we must the price of democracy is perpetual vigilance, and so even though the odds are stacked against the NPP in the 2024 elections, we must remain vigilant at all times and protect our democracy.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
ALHAJI INUSAH FUSEINI is a former minister for roads and highways, former minister for lands and natural resources, and also a former member of parliament for Tamale Central. Well, we have the president of Links